Hello everybody and welcome to Notorious Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm Notorious Cly and this is episode 1 of our Resonator Red Dragon Archfiend combo compendium. In this series of videos I will walk you through the many combos for Resonator Red Dragon Archfiend. Today's episode showcases 3 slightly different 1.5 card Soul Resonator combos. The prerequisite cards in hand for all 3 of these combos are Soul Resonator and any other card. Today that is represented by Supe. Friendly reminder, this can be any other card in your deck. Let's start combo 1 off by normal summoning Soul Resonator. Soul Resonator on normal or special summon can activate its effect to add a level 4 or lower fiend type monster from deck to hand. We will go ahead and activate that, and we will add Bone Archfiend. Bone Archfiend will activate its effect, sending Supe a card in our hand. Also worth mentioning, we could send a card from our field, but we do not want to in this instance, to special summon itself. While Bone Archfiend is on the field, we can activate its effect, targeting Soul Resonator, to send a Fiend type tuner from deck to graveyard and increase or decrease the level of Soul Resonator by 1. We are going to go ahead and send Crimson Resonator from deck to graveyard, and we are going to elect to decrease the level of Soul Resonator by 1, making it a level 2 tuner now. Now that we have a level 2 Fiend type tuner and a level 4 non-tuner, we have the prerequisite materials for the summon of Red Rising Dragon. Red Rising Dragon on summon can target a Resonator in our graveyard and special summon it back. We are going to target Crimson Resonator and summon Crimson Resonator back. Crimson Resonator has 2 effects. The effect we're concerned about is the second one. If the only other monster we control is a Dark Dragon Synchro monster, we can special summon up to 2 Resonators not named Crimson Resonator from hand or deck. We're going to activate that effect, and we are going to elect to summon Vision Resonator and Vision Resonator. It's worth mentioning at this time, the second Vision Resonator can be any other level 2 Resonator that would be legal to summon off of Crimson Resonator. I prefer to do double Vision because I don't really want to run any other level 2 Resonators that aren't Crimson or Vision. Now let's take a look at the materials we have on field. We have a non-tuner Synchro monster whose level is 6 and 3 tuners whose total levels equal 6. This gives us the required material for the Synchro summon of one of the coolest, baddest boss monsters around, Red Supernova Dragon. Since Vision Resonator was sent to the graveyard, we can activate its effect to add a spell or trap that mentions Red Dragon Archfiend from our deck to our hand. We are going to go ahead and add Crimson Gaia. All that we have left to do is activate Crimson Gaia, activate the effect of Crimson Gaia to add a card that mentions Red Dragon Archfiend from our deck to our hand, and we are going to elect to add Red Zone. We will go ahead and set the one mysterious card face down and pass turn to our opponent. Wow, what a combo. Let's review what we did here. First and foremost, we have one of the coolest boss monsters in the entire game, Red Supernova Dragon. Supernova gains 500 attack for every tuner in our graveyard. We currently have 4 tuners in grave, meaning Supernova gets its attack boosted by 2,000, bringing it to a grand total of 6,000 attack. Supernova also cannot be destroyed by our opponent's card effects. And the most important effect of Supernova is when our opponent activates a monster effect or declares an attack with a monster, we can banish Supernova and all cards our opponent controls. This is an absolutely devastating effect that is only enhanced by Red Zone. Red Zone allows us to target one of our banished Dark Dragon Synchro monsters and special summon it. Supernova is a soft once per turn, meaning we can only use the effect of Supernova once per turn per copy of Supernova. This means we can use Supernova's effect, banish it and all cards our opponent controls, use Red Zone to target it and special Supernova back, and then use Supernova's effect again, since this Supernova is treated as a different copy of itself. One of my favorite parts about this combo is that we've set ourselves up with follow-up. Crimson Gaia can add a card that mentions Red Dragon Archfiend from our deck or graveyard to our hand. We have Soul and Vision in graveyard, and I'm sure we'll have another copy of Soul in our deck as well. To make our follow-up even better, we have Bone Archfiend in grave too. Friendly reminder that Bone Archfiend can summon itself from hand or graveyard, at the cost of sending a card from our field or hand to the graveyard. This combo is game-winningly strong if your opponent does not have an answer for Supernova. One Supernova effect resolving can win us the game. 2 Supernova effects resolving almost guarantees we win. There are very few scenarios I can imagine in which we activate and resolve Supernova twice and lose. This combo, while incredibly powerful, however, is also very fragile. Supernova does have some protection from your opponent's destruction effects, but Supernova does lose to some commonly played non-engine cards. Cards like Infinite Impermanence, Dark Ruler No More, Forbidden Droplets, or even something like Forbidden Chalice. You also have cards like Book of Moon and Book of Eclipse that have seen a resurgence of play, and those answer Supernova with ease as well. The hope is, if we're electing to go with this 1.5 card combo, the 3 other cards remaining in our hand at the end of the combo will either protect Supernova or can act as additional disruptions to help get us to the next turn, where we will look to capitalize with all of the follow-up that we set up. Let's go ahead and reset all this, and then we'll run through combo number 2. We have our starting hand again, featuring Soul Resonator and any other card. Quick note about this combo, we're going to take the same path as our previous combo up until we have Crimson Resonator and Red Rising Dragon on the field. So I'm going to try and run through it a little quicker. Please go ahead and rewind as many times as you need just to keep up on the specifics of what we're doing here. So we're going to normal summon Soul Resonator. Soul Resonator effect, add Bone Archfiend. Bone Archfiend effect, discarding Supe, special summon Bone. Bone target Soul, send Crimson, decrease the level of Soul by 1. Synchro for Red Rising Dragon. Red Rising Dragon effect, target Crimson Resonator, special Crimson Resonator back. Now we are going to activate the effect of Crimson Resonator and special summon up to 2 Resonators not named Crimson from hand or deck. And we will special a Vision Resonator and a Synchron Resonator. This is the point at which we have deviated from the previous combo, and our next move is very important. We must use the Vision Resonator and the Red Rising Dragon for the synchro summon of a Scar Red Dragon Archfiend. Scar Red Dragon Archfiend specifically requires a dark non-tuner. Red Rising Dragon fulfills that requirement. Since Vision Resonator was sent to the graveyard, we will go ahead and search the spell or trap that mentions Red Dragon Archfiend, and again, we will grab Crimson Gaia. Now we will use Synchron Resonator and the Dark Dragon Synchro non-tuner in Scar Red Dragon Archfiend, since their total levels equal 9, for the synchro summon of Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. Now we will have 2 effects pop off in grave. We have Scar Red Dragon Archfiend. Since it was sent from the monster zone to the graveyard, we can go ahead and special summon a Red Dragon Archfiend from our extra deck, and it is treated as a synchro summon. Additionally, since Scar Red Dragon Archfiend was sent from the monster zone to the graveyard as synchro material, we can also destroy all attack position monsters our opponent controls. Synchron Resonator, since it was sent from the field to the graveyard, can target a Resonator not named Synchron Resonator and add it back to our hand. I always like to go Chainlink 1 Synchron and Chainlink 2 Scar Red. I'm not 100% sure on this, please somebody fact check me, but I believe there are fewer cards that can interact with Scar Red than there are cards that can interact with Synchron. We will go ahead and resolve the chain link going backwards. Scar Red Dragon Archfiend will special summon, treating it as a synchro summon for Red Dragon Archfiend. And then Synchron Resonator targeted the Vision Resonator, and we will add the Vision Resonator back to our hand. Since there is a level 5 or higher dark monster on the field, we can go ahead and special summon the Vision Resonator from our hand. Important side note here, that effect of Vision Resonator does not activate. It is an inherent summon or a summon that does not start a chain. Now that we have Red Dragon Archfiend and 2 tuners, whose total level equals 12, we can use all 3 of these for the synchro summon of a classic Red Nova Dragon. Now all we have left to do is activate Crimson Gaia, activate the effect of Crimson Gaia, and add a card that mentions Red Dragon Archfiend from deck to hand. We are going to add Red Zone again. We will set our mysterious card face down, and then pass turn to our opponent. Wow, what a combo. Let's review what we did here. We have Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, which can target any face-up card our opponent controls and negate its effects for the turn. We also have Red Nova Dragon, who gains 500 attack for each tuner in our graveyard. We currently have 4 tuners in our graveyard, so Nova gains 2,000 attack, putting it at 5,500 attack points. Nova can also not be destroyed by our opponent's card effects, and when our opponent declares an attack, we can target the attacking monster, banish Red Nova Dragon, and negate the attack. Most importantly though, Red Nova Dragon specifically mentions Red Dragon Archfiend as its synchro material. This means Red Nova Dragon being on the field will allow us to use the first effect of Red Zone. Red Zone, while we control Red Dragon Archfiend, or a synchro monster that specifically mentions it, we can destroy one card on the field when our opponent activates a card or effect. This effect also synergizes really well with Crimson Gaia. Crimson Gaia has an effect. If a monster is destroyed by battle or card effect, we can special summon Red Dragon Archfiend from our graveyard. We have two choices for the revival effect of Crimson Gaia. We have the original Red Dragon Archfiend, or we have Scar Red Dragon Archfiend, since Scar Red Dragon Archfiend is treated as Red Dragon Archfiend on field or in graveyard. Red Zone's second effect, to summon a banished Dark Dragon Synchro monster, may also come up if Nova banishes itself to negate an attack. Important to remember that Red Nova Dragon's target, banish, negate attack is not once per turn, so if you do manage to recycle Nova back with Red Zone, you have a second attack negate. With this end board, we also have one extra layer of protection thanks to Soul Resonator's graveyard effect. Since we control Red Dragon Archfiend, or a synchro monster that specifically mentions it, if a card or cards we control would be destroyed by a card effect, we can banish Soul Resonator from the graveyard instead. This effect doesn't activate. We have the option to apply the effect at the point of resolution of the destruction effect. That sounds really fancy, but all that means is when our opponent is attempting to resolve the effect of something like Raigeki, we go Soul Resonator effect, and nothing is destroyed. This combo also gives us the same follow-up as the previous one. We have Crimson Gaia, with Vision in graveyard, possibly deck as well, since we only summoned one copy, another copy of Soul in deck, and Bone Archfiend in the graveyard. Our next combo follows a very similar path as this one, and has some carryover pieces to the end board, so I would like to showcase combo number 3 before we compare and contrast with combo number 1. Let's reset and get ready for combo number 3. Here we are back at our familiar starting point, and we're going to follow pretty much the same path as the last combo up until we start using our synchro materials on field. So we're going to normal Soul, Soul effect, Soul add, Bone, Bone effect, discarding Supe, summon Bone, Bone target Soul, send Crimson, decrease the level by 1. Synchro for Red Rising Dragon, Red Rising target Crimson, special Crimson back. Now we are going to use Crimson effect, summoning, Synchron, and Vision Resonator. Again, very important here at this point that we use Vision Resonator and Red Rising Dragon for the synchro summon of Scar Red Dragon Archfiend. We have Vision Resonator's effect in graveyard, and a spell trap that mentions Red Dragon Archfiend. We are going to grab Crimson Gaia again. Now we are going to go ahead and use Synchron Resonator and Scar Red Dragon Archfiend for the synchro summon of Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. We will go Synchron Chainlink 1, targeting Vision, Scar Red Chainlink 2 to special. We're going to go ahead and resolve that backwards. Red Dragon Archfiend. And then Synchron's target, Vision Resonator, will find its way back to our hand. And now we have a decision to make here. Our next move is going to be to special summon Bestial Despotter, which needs a Dragon non-tuner and any other tuner. We can either use the Crimson Resonator on field or the Vision Resonator in hand as the material. Vision Resonator can special itself since there's a level 5 or higher Dark Monster on the board, so getting it on board isn't a concern here. My personal preference is to always leave Crimson on field, since Vision Resonator is easy enough to get back because of Crimson Gaia, and we also have a second Vision Resonator hanging out in our deck somewhere. So I will go ahead and special Vision Resonator, since there's a level 5 or higher Dark Monster on the field, and now I will use Vision Resonator and Red Dragon Archfiend for the synchro summon of Bestial Despotter. All we have left to do here is to go ahead and activate Crimson Gaia, Gaia effect, search Fiendish Golem, set our mysterious card face down somewhere, and pass turn to our opponent. Wow, what a combo. Let's go over what we have here. We have Crimson Resonator, which if it manages to survive to our next turn, and we only have one of our Dark Dragon Synchro monsters remaining on the field, can use its second effect to special summon more Resonators. This is the specific reason why I always choose to leave Crimson Resonator on field instead of Vision Resonator in hand. Vision Resonator, again, is easy enough to get back into rotation thanks to Crimson Gaia or the other copy in our deck, and I find getting to Crimson Resonator again is a little more difficult. Plus, I always tend to favor the extra body on board because it makes us a little harder to get rid of. We have the familiar face, Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, which again can target any face-up card our opponent controls and negate its effects till the end of the turn. Our next card is Bestial Despoter. Bestial Despoter is a wonderful card, but requires a little bit of setup. If there is a banish card, when our opponent activates a monster effect, we can shuffle that banish card back into the deck. And depending on whose banish card it was, Despoter's effect will take two different flavors. If we shuffle back our own banish card, we will destroy the monster that activated the effect. If we shuffle back our opponent's banish card, we will negate that effect. As of right now, Bestial Despoter's effect is not live, but that is not a concern because we searched Fiendish Golem over the course of our combo. Fiendish Golem can target a monster with 2000 attack or more and banish it until the end phase of the next turn. Having Fiendish Golem on field gives us an additional disruption and guarantees that at some point Bestial Despoter's effect will be live. Fiendish Golem does not specify that you have to banish one of your opponent's monsters. If we are hurting bad enough to use the effect of Bestial Despoter, we can always use Fiendish Golem to go ahead and banish something like a Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss that has already used its effect. We also have Crimson Gaia on field and Red Dragon Archfiends in the graveyard, which can summon themselves back if a monster on field is destroyed by battle or card effect. And Crimson Gaia offers the same follow-up as the previous two combos. Same goes for Bone Archfiend hanging out in our graveyard somewhere. The things I like the most about combo number 2 and combo number 3 is our board is a bit wider. We have less of our power concentrated in one singular monster. Our interaction is spread out between 2 to 3 cards, meaning our board is a little more resilient to our opponent's attempts to out it. Combo number 2 and combo number 3 are arguably not as powerful as combo number 1, since banishing every card your opponent controls twice is game-winningly strong. But in my experience, I found that the wider, more interactive board is still good enough to win as long as you manage your interactions correctly and your opponent didn't open godly. If we were to compare combo number 2 and combo number 3 to one another, I'm not sure which one I would favor the most. I think it depends more on the matchup. This board is a little bit more interactive than our previous one, since combo number 3 features 3 interactions, Fiendish Golem, Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, and eventually Bestial Despoter, whereas combo number 2 only features the Red Zone Destruction and Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. However, I have found that combo number 2 is a little more resilient, since Red Nova Dragon at base can't be destroyed by our opponent's card effects, and Soul Resonator in graveyard with Red Nova Dragon on field means we can protect any of the cards on our field from destruction by card effects. I suppose the board you need to make depends on the specifics of your matchup. In a vacuum, I think I would favor combo number 3, just because the extra interaction is always nice. And if something is destroyed by battle or card effect, we always have the floating effect of Crimson Gaia to get Red Dragon Archfiend on field and then turn on Soul Resonator in graveyard. To close out this video, I have just a couple more tips and tricks for all of you. You can see at default, I tend to put my monsters in defense position. This is because our most important monsters still have very respectable defense stats. Bestial Despoter at 3,500 defense and Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss at 2,500 defense. And this is mostly due to playing around cards like Lightning Storm, which can destroy all attack position monsters. Summoning it in defense can blank a card from your opponent's hand after you have gone to game 2 and game 3 and have access to the side deck. In game 1, I may favor attack position just to get the extra survivability of something like Abyss with 700 more attack points than it has defense points. It's also worth mentioning that with this board specifically, Fiendish Golem can banish a monster with more than 2,000 attack. If something is going to try and run over Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, we have Fiendish Golem to go ahead and get rid of it and hopefully keep Abyss on our side of the field. Supernova and Red Nova Dragon were summoned in attack position because they have gigantic attack stats and they're immune to destruction effects, which means Lightning Storm is useless against them anyways. Another thing I didn't adhere to on this current setup is playing around what I like to call the yoinks. There is Relinquished Anima and Geonator Transverser, which can steal monsters if they're in specific zones. The most common one you should be playing around right now is Relinquished Anima, which is a link monster that can steal something that it points to. It points up. So if I were playing properly, I would play my monsters in these positions, making them immune to Relinquished Anima, And I would play these two cards right here, as do not create a column for column-based effects like the special summoning requirement of Mech Knights. The last tip I'll hand out is if you're a newer player or just new to Red Dragon Archfiend entirely, go ahead, grab your mat, grab your deck, rewind this video, and run through this combo with me. And as you're doing it, go ahead and speak out loud everything you're doing and the requirements to do it and the restrictions that it imposes on you. That is one way that I learn how to play a deck, is I will go ahead, put the combo line right in front of me, and just play through it as if I'm trying to explain it to the person I'm playing against, because this is the first time they're seeing the cards. I find doing that really helps reinforce the information and helps develop good habits for making sure you don't overlook a specific requirement or lock somewhere. All right, everybody, and I think that's going to do it for episode 1 of our Resonator Red Dragon Archfiend Combo Compendium. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for episode 2, where I'm going to start going through some of the 2-card combos. Please let me know down in the comments if you like this style of video, if there's anything you think I could do better, and what combos specifically you would like to see next. Thanks again for watching, everybody. I'll see you in the next one. Be safe, have fun.